So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Q&A here on the extended channel. As always, if you want to get your question answered, very simple. All you have to do is hit subscribe, turn on all post notifications, and make sure that you comment within the first 2 hours of this post going live. So let's get started with the first question. Iman, just joined agency incubator, by far the best training on SMA I've ever come across. Thank you. My question is, what's your thoughts having lawyer/law firms as a niche? I wonder what Facebook audiences I should target and if law is a good client persona. Thanks. Yeah, for sure. Now, I would be lying to you if I said that I had much understanding of the more technical aspects of the niche in terms of service delivery. But what I can tell you is right off the bat, as long as it's not something too, like for example, you ran ads for lawyers that facilitated mergers between companies. While it's extremely lucrative, extremely high ticket, I just don't see that working as much as, like, let's say for example, an intellectual property lawyer. You know, pretty much every corporation has some sort of intellectual property. I have intellectual property. It's very important. A YouTube channel is a piece of intellectual property. There have been people before who have actually gone to court, different YouTubers, like joint YouTubers, over whose IP it is, etc. So I think if it's something that is not super niche, that's still pretty general, and that is more geared towards businesses and people that have money, then I think for sure it is a very interesting niche. It can be very lucrative. Once again, lawyers are very expensive. And just right off the top of my head, the one that I'm thinking within that works well because you can target business owners, they're willing to pay, and it's not too specific, is as I said, something like IP law, IP protection, copyright infringement, etc. So my thoughts on it is that it is a very good niche as long as you do something that is not too specific, general enough. And it could be personal, or you could run ads for corporate lawyers, whatever it may be. Hopefully that guides you in the right direction. All right, so next question is, how many hours of sleep should someone get a night? I think you've said 9 hours, but then what time do you sleep, seeing as you wake up at 6:30 every morning? Or has that changed over the years? Just curious about your nighttime routine overall, so from the time you eat dinner onwards. Yeah, for sure. So back in 2018, I used to wake up at 5:30, and I did that for the longest time, 5:30, and then I actually moved it to 6:30, and 6:30 just felt more natural. Like, even if I got 9 hours of sleep and I woke up at 5:30, I wouldn't feel as refreshed if I got 9 hours of sleep and woke up at 6:30. I recommend that all you guys check out your sleep chronotype. I'll leave a little screen share here of a website where you can punch in your details and basically find out a little bit about your sleep chronotype. I am a bear, which means that, like, I kind of follow the natural sun cycles. Like, I like to usually wake up when the sun is starting to come up. And granted, in London, for example, that could be either 7:30 or 5:30. I've just kind of found 6:30 to be a good time to wake up. Now here in Cape Town, I'm actually waking up at 7:30 at the moment, and that's also because I can't go to the gym. So usually I train in the mornings. Now I train right after lunch. So I wake up at 7:30, and every single night, especially in 2020, when, to be honest, there's not much else to do, I am aiming for 9 hours of sleep a night. Honestly, I just don't see the reason why someone wouldn't get their 9 hours of sleep. In my opinion, there's no higher ROI thing that you can do. So let's say, for example, back in London when I'm getting my 9 hours of sleep, if I'm getting my 9 hours of sleep, that means I'm waking up at 6:30, which means I have to kind of be asleep-ish by like 9:30-ish. So I get into bed for around 9 o'clock. I read for 10-15 minutes, and then my latency is always only a couple minutes. I pass out, and usually I end up getting my 9 hours of sleep. So in order to get into bed for 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock is, I know, kind of my cutoff point. From that point on, I'm doing my nighttime routine. I'm setting my clothes for the next morning. I'm washing my face, brushing my teeth. You know, prior to that, having my sleepy time tea and really just getting in the zone to sleep. And when I go to bed at 9:30, I aim to eat food around 3 hours before. 3, maybe 2.5 hours, but preferably 3 hours before. So I'm usually eating food at 6:37. So that's if I'm getting 9 hours. Now, if I'm meeting with a friend, 9 hours just isn't realistic because, you know, we might have we might have dinner at a restaurant at 8 o'clock, and, you know, it might go on until 9:30. Now, if I know that I'm having dinner at a restaurant with a friend, then I will lay out all my clothes and do all my sort of to-do before I leave. So that's why I like 6:30, because it gives me the flexibility where I'm also not antisocial. You know, if someone wants to meet at a very normal dinner time, which is like 8 o'clock, I can still do it and I can stretch it and it's not an issue. And in fact, if for whatever reason it comes to it and like I end up getting home at like 11 or something, I can still go to bed at like 12, even like 12:30 and get my 6 hours. For me, 6 hours I can get by on, but 5 hours is where you start to, you know, you really feel it the next day. So 6:30 has just been that good point for me. As I said, I know some people wake up at like 5:35. Like at the end of the day, I have a social life. In 2020, I haven't had so much of a social life, but
life is good. You know what I mean?
Life, but you know, especially like, for example, second half of 2019, every single night I was having dinner with a friend, I was having dinner with an old client, a business acquaintance, whatever it may be. Like I've, you know, unlike most of the entrepreneurial niche, like I actually like to have a good social life. And you know, for me, it's important to have that balance. So I need a time where I'm waking up early enough that I feel as though I'm still getting my competitive advantage and I can get to my desk after training and all that stuff at a reasonable time, but where I still have the flexibility to, if there's some sort of social gathering, like let's say for example, it's one of your friends' birthdays, like you don't want to be, you just don't want to be a loser and you know, not be able to go because you wake up at 5 a.m. or whatever. Enjoy their birthday dinner and have a glass of wine and not stress about it and still get home, and if it comes to it, have 6 hours of sleep, but that's an amount of sleep where I can still function and I can get through the next day. But on any given day, especially if I have the time, like I make it a priority to get 9 hours of sleep. Next question is, you have such friendly relations with your business partners / clients, so is it fair to say that you share more of a friendly bond with them? How do you make sure that your work doesn't occupy, and kind of second question, how do you make sure that your work doesn't occupy too much of your time or get in the way of your personal life? First of all, I don't have any business partners. I've never had any legal business partners, so I don't have any of those, but maybe you're referring to my team. You know, with my team, I just end up building camaraderie because like we have a common mission, we have a common goal, and it's also just the way that I run my company. Like maybe very, very rarely, you will never hear me refer to my team as my employees. Yes, they are my employees technically, but like, I don't know, I view us as a team. Like I view us as like, I don't know, you know, it's just it's the way that I run my company. You know, you end up building a very, very strong bond, and it's in the same way with my agency. This is just the way I like to run my agency. You know, that doesn't mean that you need to. I like to have, and I specifically look for agency clients that I could have a beer with. You know, I specifically look for agency clients that we end up having a bond and a friendship, and that's just the sort of agency clients I like to attract. And keep in mind, there's a huge portion of the market that, like there's a bunch of, like, I've even had clients of mine tell me that there's introductions that they can make to companies, but they can't because of just the way that I am. Like, you know, if I want to swear, I will obviously respectfully, like, you know, it's never crude or it's never out of place. You know, it's always just to like lighten up the mood, and we like to make jokes, me and the team, and you know, we like to joke with our clients, and we like to ask our clients about their personal life, and you know, help in ways outside of just doing their advertising. And one thing I will say is the reason I get away with it is because I get clients incredible results. Because here's the thing, because I get clients incredible results, and because our client results are so on point, obviously they see me and my agency in a good light. So when they already see me in a good light, when we start to joke, you know, after we, for example, on a client check-in call, after that first 15-20 minutes where we talk about the client campaigns, any sort of joking or camaraderie after that point, once again, it just builds that bond. So it's because I get them good client results, and then because I actually ask them about what's going on in their life. I know about their family, I know about the sort of pain points that they have right now, like all this stuff. And you know, they're joking around and being jovial with my team, and it's like, it all starts here. If you get your clients incredible results, then when you joke and stuff like that, it's an added plus, because you're not just a service provider, now you're almost viewed as like a partner to them. If you don't get them good client results, you know, if I didn't get my clients good client results, and then I was also joking and jovial, it would look like I was totally taking the piss, because it would just be like, how are you trying to joke and lighten the mood and this and that when you can't even get me good results? So that's one thing that you do need to keep in mind. You need to figure out what your perfect agency client is. I know what my perfect agency client is, and I'm always looking for them, and I've been so blessed to have such incredible agency clients, and a lot of clients that have actually become good, close friends of mine. Even if we aren't working together in a service provider business sense, we catch up, we have dinners, you know, as I said, we end up becoming really good friends. So for me as an agency owner, that's important, but for you, it may not matter. And also, I guess it depends on the sort of the niche that you're working with. Look, if I was working with dentists and stuff, I doubt that I would have that same sort of camaraderie and friendship. For me, it's just because, like, with our clientele that's 70-80% info product and around 20-30% e-commerce, these people are usually very interesting. And just another thing is, a lot of my clients are below 30. The clients that I've had that are above 35-40, like I just haven't had that same sort of connection with. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And then in terms of your question about like, how does your business life not intrude on your social life? My business comes first. Like, that's the thing, my business comes first, and then any extra time I have, that is the, you know, my social life slots into the priorities of my business, not the other way around. So that's just the way I go about things. Now, I also have different seasons in my life. For example, first half of 2019, it was all just entirely focused. Second half of 2019, it was, honestly, I'd say it was 50% business and then 50% fun. I dedicated a lot more time at the second half of 2019 to enjoy myself, to start kind of coming out of my shell and networking with more high-level business owners. And I say this respectfully, you know, not like YouTube celebrities and like, you know, I don't really have any friends that are like YouTubers and stuff like that. I mean just like some high level real world business dude, restaurateurs, hotel owners, serial real estate investors, that sort of stuff. Like I have a lot of friends who own tech companies, clothing companies, you know. Usually I try to associate with that sort of crowd because I want to learn from sort of more your traditional paths as a business owner. But anyways, back to my point. Seasons come and go. For me, kind of my business will always be the most important thing, and then any extra time I have is there for my social life, but that's also because my business just personally is my number one biggest source of joy and inspiration and pleasure. Next question is, how useful has the iPad Pro been to you and how do you use it and get the most out of it? We'd love to see a full review and tips too. Yeah, so I got the iPad Pro end of 2019, and I'd say for me the biggest thing is I write all my emails on it. So right now at the moment I'm writing between my email to my IAG Media list, between the two Grow Your Agency lists, I'm writing about 8 emails a week, which is a lot. And something about typing it on the iPad, I'm so shocked. I actually love the iPad for typing. It has just been really, really awesome. Yeah, to be honest, I was very shocked that I enjoyed typing on it so much. And I think it's just nice because like when I'm doing my emails, it kind of puts me in a different state of mind. And yeah, I type out all my emails. The 8 emails I do a week, I all do on the iPad, and then obviously schedule it using my computer and stuff like that. So yeah, I use it for that mainly. And it's also just been good in terms of like flights, even though I've only had I've only been on 2 flights this year. But Netflix on iPad is awesome because obviously you can just download and watch on your iPad and stuff like that, which is great because after the last few years, you know, where I've been on a private jet, I've flown first class, business class. I made the decision in 2020 that I'm only flying economy. If I think about things that give me a lot of joy in my life, flying just, it's not one of those things, you know, I don't care too much about the Emirates full suite thing just because like most of the time I'm reading anyways. So I don't really care too much if I'm lying flat on my back or I'm just sat down. So definitely iPad has made flights like super easy. You know, I just catch up on all the documentaries I've been wanting to watch on Netflix, and I just use my iPad. So those are the main 2 sources from it. Is writing emails are just awesome on it, and for flights, it's awesome to kind of like catch up on downloaded Netflix documentaries. So the next question is, what type of music do you listen to outside of Brain FM? Lol, a whole spectrum, you know. I'll listen to everything from like Drake to Amy Winehouse to Otis Redding to Stevie Wonder to Brent Faiyaz to the Lumineers, like honestly, to old French classical music to like Tchaikovsky to like I listen to everything, honestly. The only thing I say I don't listen to is like hard rock, maybe like old classical rock, which I didn't even like. I was in Bali with one of my friends and I was like, yeah, I hate rock. And then literally for the next hour I proceeded to apparently only play rock. I just didn't realize that I was playing rock. Apparently it was just classical rock. But yeah, I'd say it's also just a matter of what time in the day it is. If it's prior to bed, then it's going to be only classical music. If it's in the morning, then usually it'll be maybe rap or maybe some R&B, and then middle of the day, I don't know, just like it depends on the day, but always at the end of the day it's pretty much just classical music or French 20th century music. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. Maybe the easiest thing that I could tell you is, in no particular order, if I had to give you my 3 top or 5 top artists, I would go Amy Winehouse, Stevie Wonder, Drake, Brent Faiyaz, and either Etta James, Otis Redding, or potentially Lauryn Hill. I'd say, yeah, probably either Lauryn Hill or Etta James. So as you can see, there's a mix of mainly like rap, R&B, and just sort of like soul. So yeah, that's a little insight, but I genuinely listen to everything. I listen to a bit of house as well. Like, honestly, it just depends on my mood. So ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up for today's Q&A. Down in the description, you can find the winner for today's Gadzhi giveaway. If you want to be drawn into the next giveaway, or technically this giveaway, all you have to do is just comment. If you comment in the first 2 hours, then you are automatically enrolled to the giveaway, and just watch out for the next video. We'll be posting the winners there. If you're not within the first 2 hours, very simple, just turn on post notifications, subscribe, and make sure you comment within the first 2 hours of the next video going live, and you will be drawn in to win. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.